Hello, everyone. Today, I want to share a personal story that many of you might relate to. My journey of understanding English, but struggling to speak it fluently. Growing up, I loved listening to stories, but as I got older, I realized I wanted to join the conversation. I faced challenges, fears, and moments of doubt, but with patience and practice, I began to find my voice. In this video, I'll take you through my experiences, the obstacles I faced, and the lessons I learned along the way. So, if you've ever felt stuck or shy about speaking English, stick around. You might find some inspiration and tips to help you on your own journey. Let's dive in. I understand English but can't speak it. When I was a child, I loved listening to stories. I would sit with my grandmother as she told me tales of brave heroes and magical lands. But as I grew older, I wanted more. I wanted to understand the stories in English. I could read the words on the page, but they felt like strangers to me. The characters were there, but I couldn't talk to them. In school, my teacher would ask me questions in English. I knew the answers in my mind, but my mouth would not move. My heart would beat fast, and my hands would get sweaty. I wanted to speak, but the words were stuck inside me, like a bird in a cage. I felt ashamed. I felt like I was the only one who couldn't speak, even though I could understand everything. One day, I was walking home from school. I heard a group of kids laughing and talking in English. I wanted to join them, but I felt afraid. They seemed so confident, like they were born speaking English. I walked past them, my head down, feeling lonely and small. I wished I could be like them, free to speak my mind. At home, I would practice speaking in front of the mirror. I would say the words over and over, trying to make them sound right. But when I tried to speak to someone, my voice would disappear. It was like the words didn't belong to me. They were just visiting, but they didn't want to stay. One evening, I was sitting alone, feeling sad. My grandmother came to me and asked what was wrong. I told her that I understood English, but I couldn't speak it. She smiled and said, "Your voice is like a flower. It needs time to bloom. Don't rush it, and don't be afraid. Speak from your heart, and the words will come." Her words stayed with me. I decided to be patient with myself. I started talking with my grandmother in English, even if it was just a few words. She would listen carefully and encourage me. Slowly, I began to feel more comfortable. The fear in my heart started to fade, little by little. I also began to listen to stories in English every day. I would close my eyes and imagine characters speaking to me. I started to repeat their words, trying to sound like them. It was like I was learning a new song, and each word was a note. I practiced and practiced until the words started to feel like they were mine. One day at school, my teacher asked me a question in English. My heart started to race, but then I remembered my grandmother's words. I took a deep breath and spoke from my heart. The words came out slowly, but they came. My teacher smiled, and so did I. It was like a door had opened inside me, and words were finally free. From that day on, I practiced speaking English every chance I got. I talked to my friends, my family, and even strangers. Sometimes I made mistakes, but I didn't let them stop me. I knew that each mistake was a step forward. I kept listening to stories, watching movies, and reading books in English. The more I practiced, the more confident I became. But the journey was not always easy. There were days when I felt frustrated and wanted to give up. I would stumble over words and feel embarrassed. But then I would remember why I started. I wanted to be able to share my thoughts and feelings with the world. I wanted to connect with others, to make friends, and to be understood. So I kept going, one step at a time. And slowly the words that once felt like strangers became my friends. They flowed from my mouth with ease, and I started to enjoy speaking English. It wasn't just about the words anymore. It was about the stories I could tell, the connection I could make, and the person I was becoming. As I continued to learn and grow, I realized that speaking English was not just about learning a new language. It was about finding my voice, believing in myself, and overcoming my fears. It was about being patient, persistent, and kind to myself. And it was about the love and support of the people around me who believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. Looking back, I can see how far I've come. I can speak English now, and I am proud of that. But more importantly, I've learned that it's okay to struggle, to make mistakes, and to feel afraid. Those are the things that make us human, and they are also the things that make us stronger. If you are on the same journey, I want you to know that you are not alone. I've been where you are, and I understand how you feel. But I also know that you can do it. Keep listening to stories, keep practicing, and keep believing in yourself. Your voice is like a flower, and it will bloom in its own time. And when it does, you will see that the struggle was worth it. Every word you speak is a step closer to your goal. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because they are a part of learning. Surround yourself with people who support you and encourage you. Speak from your heart, and let the words come naturally. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be yourself. Remember, learning to speak English is not just about the language. It's about the journey of finding your voice, of growing and becoming the person you want to be. It's about connecting with others, sharing your thoughts and feelings, and making your mark on the world. So take your time, be patient with yourself, and never give up. I believe in you, and I know that you can do it. Your voice is beautiful, and the world is waiting to hear it. Keep going, keep trying, and keep speaking from your heart. The words will come, and when they do, you will find that you have a lot to say. And your story, just like mine, will be worth telling. There was a time when I felt like a shadow in the world of English. I could hear the words, understand them, and even feel their emotions. But I couldn't join the conversation. It was like standing outside a house with all the windows open, but the door was locked. I could see the warmth and light inside, but I couldn't step in. It made me feel lonely, like I was on the edge of something beautiful that I couldn't touch. In school, I would sit quietly while others spoke in English. I wanted to join in, to laugh at the jokes, and share my thoughts. But the fear held me back. The words would rise up inside me, but they would never reach my lips. It was like they were stuck in my throat, tangled and confused. I felt invisible, like no one could see or hear me, because I couldn't speak the language they understood. One day, during a class discussion, my teacher asked everyone to share their thoughts. I had something to say, and it felt important. My heart was beating so fast that I thought everyone could hear it. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. I froze, my mind blank, and my hands trembling. The teacher moved on, and I sat there, my face burning with shame. I wanted to disappear, to hide away from the world that I couldn't communicate with. That night, I lay in bed thinking about all the things I wanted to say, but couldn't. I felt trapped in my silence, like a bird with clipped wings. I could see the sky, but I couldn't fly. Tears filled my eyes as I thought about how different my life would be if I could just speak English like everyone else. It felt like a distant dream, something I could never reach. But then I remembered something my grandmother once told me. She said that every great journey begins with a single step. She said that even the tallest tree started as a small seed, buried in the ground. It didn't grow overnight, but with time, sunlight, and care, it became strong and beautiful. Her words gave me hope. I realized that learning to speak English was my journey, and I just needed to take the first step. The next day, I made a promise to myself. I would practice speaking English every day, even if it was just a little. I would start with simple words, then move on to sentences. I would talk to myself in the mirror, read out loud, and even try to sing songs in English. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I was determined to try. I wanted to find my voice, and I knew that I had to start somewhere. At first, it was hard. My tongue felt heavy, and the words came out awkwardly. But I didn't give up. I would repeat the same sentences over and over until they started to feel natural. I would listen to English songs and try to sing along, even if I didn't get all the words right. I would read books in English, sometimes whispering the words to myself, trying to make them feel like my own. One evening, as I was practicing, my grandmother came into the room. She saw me struggling with a sentence, and she sat down beside me. She listened as I tried to speak, and when I stumbled, she smiled and said, "You are doing well. Keep going." Her encouragement gave me strength. It made me realize that I wasn't alone on this journey. I had someone who believed in me, even when I found it hard to believe in myself. As the days went by, I started to notice small changes. The words that once felt foreign began to feel familiar. I could say sentences without stumbling, and my confidence grew. I started speaking more in class, answering questions, and even asking them. The fear that had held me back for so long was slowly fading, replaced by a new sense of courage. I was still nervous, but I was no longer afraid to try. One day, we had a special event at school where students were asked to share stories in English. I was scared, but I wanted to challenge myself. I chose a story that I loved, one that I had read many times. I practiced it over and over until I could say it without looking at the book. I wasn't sure if I could do it, but I knew I had to try. I wanted to show myself that I had grown, that I was no longer the silent, invisible person I used to be. When my turn came, I walked to the front of the class, my heart pounding. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, but I took a deep breath and began to speak. At first, my voice was shaky, but as I continued, I felt a calmness wash over me. The words flowed from my mouth, and I could see the story come to life in the faces of my classmates. For the first time, I felt like I belonged, like I was a part of something bigger. When I finished, there was silence, and then my classmates started to clap. I felt a warmth spread through me, a sense of accomplishment that I had never felt before. I had done it. I had spoken in English, and I had understood. I had shared my voice, and it had been heard. Tears filled my eyes, but this time they were tears of joy, not of sadness. I had taken a big step on my journey, and I knew there were many more to come. As I continued to practice and improve, I realized that speaking English was not just about the language. It was about expressing myself, about sharing my thoughts, dreams, and feelings with others. It was about connecting with people, making friends, and finding my place in the world. The more I practiced, the more I grew, not just in my ability to speak English, but in my confidence, my self-belief, and my understanding of who I was. I also learned that it was okay to make mistakes. Every time I stumbled over a word or said something wrong, I reminded myself that it was a part of the process. I was learning, and learning meant trying, failing, and trying again. Each mistake was like a stepping stone, helping me move forward. and with each step, I became more comfortable, more fluent, and more at ease with the language. One day I was talking with a friend in English, and she said something that touched my heart. She told me that she admired how much I have improved, and that she could see how hard I had worked. She said that my determination inspired her, and that she wished she could be as brave as me. Her words made me realize something important. My journey wasn't just about me. It was about the people I could inspire, the lives I could touch, and the difference I could make by finding and sharing my voice. As time went on, English became more than just a language to me. It became a part of who I was. It was the tool I used to tell my story, to connect with others, and to express my emotions. It was the bridge that allowed me to cross from silent to speech, from fear to confidence, and from loneliness to connection. And it was the journey of learning and growing that taught me so much about myself, about resilience, and about the power of persistence. Looking back, I am grateful for the struggles, the tears, and the fears. They were all a part of my journey, and they made me stronger. They taught me that I could overcome challenges, that I could find my voice, and that I could make a difference. They showed me that even when things seem impossible, there's always a way forward, as long as you keep trying, keep believing, and keep moving. If you are on this journey, I want you to know that you can do it. It may seem hard now, and you may feel like giving up, but remember that every great journey starts with a single step. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep believing in yourself. Surround yourself with people who support you, who encourage you, and who believe in you. And most importantly, be kind to yourself. You are learning, growing, and becoming the person you want to be. The words may feel difficult now, but they will become easier. The fear may feel overwhelming, but it will fade. The silence may feel suffocating, but your voice will break through. You are on a journey, and every step you take is bringing you closer to your goal. Keep going, keep trying, and never give up. Your voice is important, your story is important, and the world is waiting to hear what you have to say. So speak up, speak out, and speak from your heart. The words will come, and when they do, they will be beautiful, powerful, and uniquely yours. And when you look back, you will see how far you've come, how much you've grown, and how much you've achieved. You will be proud of yourself, not just for learning a new language, but for finding your voice, for sharing your story, and for making your mark on the world. Your journey is just beginning, and it is going to be amazing. As I continued my journey to learn English, I discovered something beautiful: the power of persistence. There were days when I felt like I wasn't making any progress, like I was stuck in the same place. But then I would remind myself of how far I had come. I remembered the days when even a simple sentence felt impossible, and I realized that every word I spoke, no matter how small, was a step forward. I learned that progress isn't always visible. Sometimes it's the quiet, internal changes that matter the most. The way I started to think in English, the way my mind began to understand the rhythm of the language, the way I began to trust myself more with each conversation. These were the signs of growth, even when the words still felt awkward in my mouth. One of the most important things I learned was to be patient with yourself. Learning to speak a new language is like planting a garden. You don't see the flowers right away. First, you have to water the seeds, nurture them, and give them time to grow. There will be days when it feels like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, the roots are spreading, and one day, you will see the first buds of your hard work. To anyone who understands English but struggles to speak, I want to share some tips that helped me on my journey. Don't pressure yourself to speak perfectly right away. Start with simple words and sentences. Practice greetings, short phrases, and common expressions. Focus on building a foundation, and then gradually add more complex words and sentences. Remember, even small steps are progress. Consistency is key. Try to practice speaking English every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Talk to yourself, read out loud, or try repeating phrases you hear in English songs or shows. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. Surround yourself with people who support and encourage you, whether it's a friend, a family member, or language partner. Find someone who will listen to you without judgment. A safe space will help you build confidence and make you feel comfortable trying new things. Mistakes are a natural part of learning. Instead of fearing them, embrace them as opportunities to grow. When you make a mistake, take a moment to learn from it, and then move on. Every mistake brings you closer to mastering the language. Listen to English as much as you can. Watch movies, listen to podcasts, read books, and try to engage with the language in your daily life. The more you expose yourself to English, the more familiar it will become, and the easier it will be to speak. Remember, the goal of speaking is to communicate, not to be perfect. Focus on getting your message across, even if it's not flawless. People will appreciate your effort, and you will improve over time. Don't let the fear of making mistakes stop you from speaking. Find opportunities to speak English with others, whether it's in a class, a language exchange, or a casual conversation with a friend. Practicing with others will help you build confidence and fluency. Don't be afraid to start conversations, ask questions, and share your thoughts. Take time to acknowledge your achievements no matter how small they may seem. Celebrate the moments when you successfully express yourself, when you learn a new word, or when you have a conversation in English. Recognizing your progress will motivate you to keep going. There are many apps, websites, and online resources that can help you practice speaking English. Try language learning apps, join online communities, or even participate in virtual language exchanges. Technology can be a great tool to help you improve your speaking skills. Learning to speak English is a journey, and it's important to stay positive along the way. Believe in your ability to improve, and don't get discouraged by setbacks.